Subtropical Gardening Podcast with Paul Plant.
Welcome, folks, to another issue of the Subtropical Gardening Podcast. We produce these magazines every single week, usually on a weekend, so that you can get some of the best gardening advice if you live in a warm climate, whether it's the tropics or the subtropics or a warm, temperate garden. My name is Paul Plant, and it's all about gardening in the subtropics. That's what we're about, featuring plants and tasks for the climate and hopefully better success for you. And of course, we will be featuring this particular plant. So, are you looking for a plant that's relatively low maintenance? Are you looking for a plant that smells absolutely divine and flowers twice a year at least to infuse your garden with scent? Big, bold, white flowers that are so huge you probably think they're artificial and not real. It's a really tough plant. We will be talking about this plant, the Brunfelsia undulata, sometimes sold as the Brunfelsia, Jamaican Brunfelsia, and also ice caps. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And if there is a bell on your screen, tick that as well so you will be notified of any updates that we do and the new videos that we produce here on Subtropical Gardening Podcast. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty about this particular plant. I have to admit, this is one in a pot. It's absolutely humongous. That's the size of the flower head, bigger than my head. So you can imagine this plant in full bloom in white with the scented flowers permeating through your garden. So right now we are in the middle of winter in the subtropics here in southeast Queensland, and mine is flowering. It was in full bloom 3 months ago. It was in full bloom again about 6 to 8 months ago. So most of the media will talk about this in flower twice a year, but I know through experience it flowers 3 times, probably 4. And the secret about this plant I've noticed is that if it goes through a dry period and then it gets some water, irrigation or rainfall, it tends to burst into flowers. So that's a little secret for you listeners and watchers to find out a little bit about this plant. So why is it called the Jamaican Brunfelsia? Well, you can guess by the name, it is native to Jamaica. It's basically a shrub to small tree and loves to grow in the tropics and the subtropics. One of the common names, of course, is ice caps, and that's how it's marketed. Another one I came across was, I think, scented tree or some weird common name like that, which I had never heard of before, but that's what it came up as. So this is a really fascinating plant. It will grow in full sun, but I find that it does tend to prefer a little bit of dappled light, a bit of protection from nearby plants, especially at the peak of the hot midday sun during that summer and spring period. It tends to do really, really well. Now, as far as I can tell, it's not listed as a weed anywhere. So basically, if you can grow the normal blue and white Brunfelsia, the yesterday, today, and tomorrow, you have a pretty good chance of success with this one. What else can I talk about this particular plant? Tolerates medium wind. I find that it doesn't like sea breeze, salt. It's obviously evergreen. However, my specimen here, it does go a little bit, let me just bring up the screen so I know what I'm showing people. It does open up a little bit, and I'll see if I can lift up the pot plant. It's a little bit naked at the bottom, but that is probably because where I am growing it. Now the key things about this particular plant, glossy green leaves. So that's what you get year round. These flowers are kind of like cream white, and I'll see if I can get the camera to focus more on the flowers in my face. They're fairly long tubular, and I'll pluck one flower off. If I can get one flower out by itself. Here you go. So that's where it was connected. And then it has that long tube and then the flower. This one's a little bit creamy yellow, but generally pure white flowers too, almost that cream tone. Very pretty in full flower. I went to one property and it was in full bloom under the canopy, the dapple canopy of some other shrubs and tall trees, and it was absolutely the focal point to what I saw when I walked through the yard. But long flower corolla tube. Now that actually is a feature which in South America the hummingbirds love. So the birds will come along, their beak will go down as far as they can, their tongue will go all the way down, drink the nectar, and then fly to the next flower. Now we do not have hummingbirds here in Australia, but we do have birds that love to drink nectar, and of course bees that might also like the nectar. But I do know we have some sneaky bees that bite in through the side of the flower to access that nectar. But hopefully you won't have too much of a problem with that particular plant. Now, the other thing I love about this plant so far, I have had incredible benefits from it with low maintenance. I've even had a few fruiting, and I've got one right at the top with a fruit. The flower has been pollinated. I do not know with what pollinated it, but I'm looking forward to collecting the seed and seeing if I can grow it from seed. Now, propagating. This plant can easily be propagated by cuttings, just like any other yesterday, today, and tomorrow. The thing to be aware of is that it is not as lush with the foliage. It doesn't produce as much bushiness as a normal Brunfelsia, so you have to be a little bit more careful with the cuttings. And because it is a less bushier plant, there are less people propagating this particular plant. And that means the price might be a little bit higher than expected. Whatever you pay, pay it. This plant is worth $50 in a small pot, maybe $100 in a small pot. I think this is one of my best acquisitions I've got for my yard. The smell is absolutely divine, very sweet and fragrant within that jasmine, rose, and the Brunfelsia fragrance spectrum. So it is a definite plant I do encourage people to consider buying and sourcing. So if you're looking for this particular plant and you cannot find it in your local garden center, ask them to source it for you. So I used to work in the retail nurseries in the 90s. Yes, I'm that old. And we would have a running sheet, a record of plants that people had come in and asked and had put their names down for that they wanted and that they would buy. And I do believe a lot of nurseries still go through that process. So if you are after this particular plant, yes, please get it. Ask your local nursery to source it in for you and be prepared for whatever fee it is. You might only need one plant for your yard. I've got 3. I like them that much. And mine, I bought in 300 ml pot. Right now, I reckon that they are around about 1.2 meters tall out of the pot. And I'm looking forward to where they go in the yard, and I'm going to make sure they're very, very well positioned for me to look at and to smell. Now, anything else about this particular plant? It is within the Brunfelsia group of plants. So that is from memory the Rubiginaceae. Let me just quickly check to see on the classification records. Oh, sorry, Solanaceae family. So that's the poisonous group. So tomatoes, potatoes, deadly nightshade, angel's trumpets. So although some fruit are edible, the overall family does have a lot of poisonous plants. So do not consume the leaves, the flowers, or the fruit. If you are concerned for your children or for your pets, probably it might be worthwhile avoiding this particular plant and all the Brunfelsias. But if you do have some Brunfelsias, if you do have some angel's trumpets or other plants from that same group already in your yard and no one has got sick, the dogs are perfectly fine, then definitely look for this plant. Now, the Brunfelsia is actually quite a fascinating group family. And let me see how many are actually in this. I should check while I type Brunfelsia. How many? Oh, I'm spelling something wrong, which is why it's not working. And this is normally I do this prior, but I have not done it prior for this particular section. And she's not coming up for the word I want. I know. I put the letters in the wrong position. Brunfelsia. I typed it in as Brunfelsia. So Brunfelsia has, let's see, how many species are in this? There it is, 49 accepted species, of which we tend to only grow probably the main industry relies upon two main species. That's Brunfelsia latifolia and Paciflora. They're the main two that people do grow, but there are others on the market. There's Notida, there's this one, undulata. And I should actually show the other image I've got of a close-up. So this is more of a close-up image that I took of it. This is the spelling, the Brunfelsia undulata. The name undulata means undulating petals, as you can see from the petals here. I'm going to see how close I can get. Very pretty, very undulating. And I think that's basically all I need to talk about the Brunfelsia family. Lactea has been, I've seen that in the market. Uniflora, I've seen in the marketplace. Not many, unfortunately. There could potentially be more, but the case here in Australia, we have biosecurity. We don't really and do not want people to bring stock of plants in illegally. The biosecurity is something we really value here in Australia. So we don't want illegal plants coming in, and we want them coming in through the correct processes where they are sanitized and ensured that there are no pests or diseases coming in. So if anyone's thinking about traveling overseas or coming into Australia, please do not carry cuttings with you. It's illegal. Do not carry seed with you unless it's registered. That's also illegal. But this is one plant. I've got it growing, so you should be able to find it with no problem, or maybe a little bit of a delay to find it in your local garden centre. So keep an eye out for this one, commonly sold as Brunfelsia ice caps, or the Jamaican Brunfelsia, which is where it is from, and botanically it is known as Brunfelsia undulata. Great plant to use in your garden. Add a bit of scent, add a bit of white. It definitely is a focal point when people come to my yard. They're either trying to find the scented plant, or they see this white flowering plant and trying to identify what that is. So keep a lookout for it, gardeners. And on a different topic, just moving away from our plant of the week, which we try to do every single week here on Subtropical Gardening. So please give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the information that I'm trying to share with all the gardeners to expand their horticultural knowledge and their fascination with plants. And please subscribe. Now, also on gardening, what we really encourage people to do is to get out and enjoy. Yes, it is winter here in southeast Queensland, but I don't have a jumper on, which means we are still having nice warm days. The nights are a little bit chilly, but we really are in a beautiful climate zone. Please visit the Botanic Gardens. There are so many wonderful places you can visit. Visit the national parks, because then you get to see our natural species that are here, and hopefully they stay here. But the more you visit the national parks, please remember, don't take rocks, don't take seed, don't take cuttings, don't take anything out except photographs and memories. And when you're at the Botanic Garden, same rule. They are not places for you to take cuttings from. And luckily, most Botanic Gardens have a Friends of Botanic Gardens connected to them, which propagate plants. So Noosa Botanic Gardens has one, Gold Coast Botanic Gardens has one, Brisbane City Council's Mount Cootha Botanic Gardens has a friends group, and they're trying to work towards having a nursery propagating facility. You just need to boot up the Brisbane City Council, and the Lord Mayor, who's a little bit slow on action here to support the volunteers, the Friends of Brisbane Botanic Gardens. Luckily, Noosa Botanic Gardens has seen the value, seen the benefit of the Friends, and the Friends do a really good function at the Noosa Botanic Gardens. What's that? You've never heard of the Noosa Botanic Gardens? Well, head up towards Koroi. The Botanic Gardens is around about 6 kilometres outside of Koroi in the area, in the Shire of Noosa. So it's not at Noosa Heads, not at Noosaville. You've got to go towards Koroi. It's technically in the suburb known as Lake Macdonald. And if you've ever heard of Lake Macdonald, it's this beautiful, massive lake which is currently going through a bit of renovation and repair. But the Botanic Gardens is on the banks of Lake Macdonald. So you have this beautiful watercourse to look over. Well, when it's full, you do. And there is still water there. So please, folks, go out this weekend, go and visit the Botanic Gardens and enjoy gardening this weekend and in the future. So always remember, with Subtropical Gardening, we're here to give you some local advice, some relevant advice for your successful gardening. It has been a very short program, a very short show for today, around about that 16, 17-minute program section. So I'm going to sign off now today and hope you all have a lovely gardening weekend. Speak to you soon.